the stepdad would be like, oh, I'm your dad. I'm your real dad. Your dad doesn't do anything for you. And like stuff like that. I'm more of a father to you. And that's total crap. Excuse my language.
Girl, crap ain't a bad word.
Okay.
You're listening to the Nacho Kids Podcast, where we discuss all things step-family related. Real stories, real people, real help. Your hosts are the creators of the Nacho Kids Method and the Nacho Kids Academy Step Family Coaching Team, Lori and David Sims.
Welcome to episode 152 of the Nacho Kids Podcast.
That's right.
This podcast has a disclaimer. There is mention of drug abuse and violent behavior. So do not let your little ones hear this. And if those are a trigger for you, don't listen to it either.
All right.
Before we get started, let's congratulate our guest today, the winner of this week's Linda Dunham Nacho Kids Academy Scholarship. A Butcher. Woo! A Butcher. Congratulations. You get a free month of the Nacho Kids Academy, courtesy of Linda Dunham.
All right. See you on the inside.
Yeah. David, I had somebody ask me the other day why we do this.
Which part?
All of it.
Why we do it?
You know, some people would say, oh, y'all do it for the money.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think those people realize that you have to pay to host podcasts. You have to pay for this, pay for that, blah, blah, blah. Why do you do this? You know, what's our why? I know my why.
My why is because I want to do everything I can to help somebody avoid having to go through what we went through. And if it's not avoiding it, then it's getting through it faster, easier, and come out the other side better.
My why is because I know what we went through. I know other step families are struggling with things like we went through, and we found a way to make it work. And I feel like we have to share that. I feel like we're doing a disservice if we don't share that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it because I want to help people. Our goal is to reduce the 72% failure rate for blended families.
Yep. We're doing our part.
Just for those that don't know, this is not easy for me.
No.
Number one, I am extremely introverted. Number two, I am extremely introverted. Number three, since I am extremely introverted, I'm a very private person. So for the whole world to know what we went through and our story, and for us to talk where these people can hear us every week. Let's not forget the videos in the academy and the other videos that I should be doing. But since I'm such an introvert.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's taking me out of my comfort zone. But I do that because I want to help people.
Yeah, you do. And it's genuine. The other thing that I don't think many people realize is that once you get past that, most people don't want to look back on that. And we are doing that over and over and over and over again.
Every day.
You know, I mean, we're basically digging up all the trash and dirt and hurts from our past every time we talk to somebody and coach somebody. And so it takes a lot to not start feeling some of those feelings again that you felt before. And the other thing too, and some people may or may not know this, but we get a lot of hate mail. Which is, you would think, okay, if you're doing all you can to help people wouldn't hate on you, but they do.
And I'll get attacked in Facebook groups and all that happy stuff.
Yeah. And it's, I'm not I'm not sitting here saying that we're the only ones. I think most people who are out there trying to do good in the world are getting attacked.
But I'm sensitive, folks, and it hurts my feelings.
I mean, we know other step family coaches and they get attacked as well. And I think that initially it was kind of one of those things where you had to figure out how to navigate that. You know, you want to kick into the, you know, are you going to just leave it alone? Or are you going to attack back or whatever the case might be? And, you know, you eventually realize that there's miserable people in the world and they want everybody else around them to be miserable as well. And for you to try to help them or anybody out of that misery, how dare you?
How dare you? And, you know, in the beginning, when I would get hate mail or see somebody bashing Nachoing in another group, I would try to explain to them, I don't think you understand. Well, some people don't like to hear that. Mm-mm. And they think they know what Nachoing is. And if you read their comments, they obviously don't, because those people are just, the people they are referring to are not people that nacho. Those are people that are just meaner than crap. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think it's, you know, horrible for the kids, and it's not. I mean, we know that.
Yep.
We see it every day, the benefits for the kids when the step parent nachos.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, there have been times where I'm like, I'm just shutting this down. Like, not April Fool's joke, shutting it down, but I'm going to shut this down because it gets so stressful sometimes. But then I get one message from somebody. On top of the 200 hate mails, I get one message that says, thank you. My marriage is much better because of Nacho. Mm-hmm. And that keeps me going again to the next person.
Well, kind of on that note, it's amazing how many people will say, you know, I could never nacho. That's just terrible. And then they go on to explain to you how they're nachoing.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is what we do in our house. And we're like, that's nachoing.
Yeah, that's part of what we're, okay. And then there's people that tell you they know all about it and have no earthly idea what they're talking about. They've done no research on their own. They don't, here's what gets me is they go to, for example, the Facebook group, they make a determination about what it is, but they don't go directly to the website or anywhere else that, like the podcast, that we have the material coming straight from us. They get it from somebody else.
And like you said, there's not many people that hang out in Facebook groups that are doing well in the blend. Yeah. I am lucky that we have a good number of people in the Facebook group that have nachoed, and they too have a passion to help other people. And those are my moderators and a few other members. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know, folks, I call places like that the fly trap.
Oh gosh. You got to come up with another analogy.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
No.
You know, the fly trap you see hanging when it's like in the nasty restaurant in the back. You got this little strip hanging there and all these flies are stuck all over it. And you know, these other flies are probably flying by there going, hey, look at all those people in there. It must be something good. And they just fly right into this trap.
Mm-hmm. And then the flies that are already stuck are trying to tell the flies that just got stuck how to get out, even though they don't know how themselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the funny part. You know, you should do this. You should do this. It's people will give advice faster than they will take their own advice most of the time because it doesn't affect them. Like, okay, if I told you to do something that didn't work very well for you, it doesn't affect me.
That's right.
You know, and that's why people are, they find it easy to give out advice, hard to take it.
Yep. So in the past, I would have tried to convince people that, hey, nachoing's not a bad thing. There's benefits to it. And finally, I said, you know what? I will try to engage when I can, but trying to get people to be more open-minded is not what I want to waste my time on. I want to help those that won't help and are willing to look into the Nacho Kids method.
Mm-hmm. Now you know where I've been coming from for years and years when it comes to reaching out to help people.
I'm getting there, David. And it's kind of sad.
This goes, way before Nacho Kids. I would often say, I would be more than happy to give somebody the shirt off my back, but they've got to show me that they're ready for that type of help. And a lot of people aren't. They just, they want to complain about it, or they want to know how they can continue doing what they're doing, but yet have a different outcome. Or what can you do for them while they do nothing for themselves? Just, yeah. And then in the meantime, there are people out there that legitimately will do everything they can and
to save their marriage and relationships.
And those are the ones that I want to work with.
Yep. So that sounded kind of depressing. So I don't want all that to sound depressing. We love what we do. Mm-hmm. It makes my heart swell and my soul sing when I know that the Nacho Kids method has helped somebody else.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Oh, Lord.
For those that are listening, if you believe in this methodology, I really want to put it on you to do your part to help other people. You don't have to be actively engaged in helping somebody. You can just say, hey, have you checked out this website? Have you checked out this podcast? You could be the person that turns them on to something that saves their relationship and sometimes even saves their life. All you have to do is just introduce them to the right people, or the right content, or whatever. You point them in the right direction. That's all you need to do. So do your part in helping other people. Just point them in the right direction.
And even if you don't know fully what the Nacho Kids method entails, just if you see somebody struggling, somebody talking at lunch one day about how they hate their stepkid, just go, I'm not sure, but this might help you. You might want to check it out.
Yeah, just look into it.
Yep.
So do that. If every listener went out and just shared it with one person, it would be life-changing for somebody.
Mm-hmm. All right. Enough of that. Our guest today is Stepmom Jodi. Jody has been blending for 21 years.
Congratulations.
I know. That's so exciting. We probably won't make it that long because I'll die before then. But that's so exciting. I saw somebody the other day had been married like 66 years. And I'm like, that is awesome. Most second families, that's what we'll call ourselves, might be a third family, fourth family. You don't have that opportunity.
No, not unless you got divorced real early.
Yeah, you're not going to hit that golden anniversary with your second wife, third wife, second husband, third husband, whatever. Mm-hmm. But there is good news, folks. 1 year in a blended family equals 10 years in regular life.
Is that it?
So year 5 of your blend, you celebrate your golden anniversary.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it is your golden anniversary, isn't it? 50 years?
I don't know.
All right, you celebrate your 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Add 10 years to every year. No, 1 year equals 10 years. Don't add 10 years because then that'd make it 11.
Well, I've been married on and off for 24 years.
Well, good for you, David. Nobody cares. All right. She has one stepdaughter that is 31. So that tells you she met stepdaughter when stepdaughter was around 10. 1 hour son, 15, and 1 hour's daughter, 11.
What? 11.
20-year age gap between the stepdaughter and the hour's daughter.
Jeez Louise.
How cool is that?
I mean, I guess you could say it's cool.
I think it's cool.
I wouldn't. It's cool for somebody else, not cool for me. Man, could you imagine my kids being 30-something and I have 11-year-old? Oh, my gosh. I mean,
okay, stop, David. Stop. David, welcome back, David. Come back, David. Come back. Here, David. Here, David. You back? Okay. The hardest part of her blending is stepdaughter has major entitlement issues.
The 30-something
She says, now listen to this. Yes. The 31-year-old has entitlement issues.
Okay.
Listen, folks. The last 3 to 4 years have actually been the hardest for her and her blend.
Man, you just burst a bunch of bubbles out there.
I know people crying. They like, cut that crap off. I ain't listening to that. That woman's evil. She mean. She telling us mean stuff.
We ain't said nothing good this whole time.
Yeah, we're going to get better, folks. It's going to get better.
This is going to be the depressing podcast episode.
Okay. I won't tell you why it's been the hardest part of the blend, but when you listen, you will find out, and you will probably agree and understand why it has been the hardest part of her blend.
Yeah.
Her best advice. Dum, da, da, dum. Nacho!
You know what my best advice would be?
I'm not through talking about her, David. Quit talking about yourself right now.
My best advice for everybody would be start now. Because if you're waiting for this stuff to just, and when they move out, when they turn 18, you're going to always have something to deal with. You better start now learning how to deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll look back a year from now and go, I wish I had started then when I listened to that depressing podcast.
Okay. Something unique about her blend. Her stepdaughter's 31. She's 38. And her hubby is 60.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So he's 22 years older.
Well, I guess it threw me when you said stepdaughter 31 because I automatically thought that, she was probably in her 50s or 60s. So no. Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Something good about their blend. Her husband never expected her to step up and parent the stepdaughter. Woo! There you go, husband.
Mm-hmm.
Proud of you, husband.
That's one thing about marrying us older men. So we got more.
And she's always gotten along with bio mom.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there's good news, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, David, I know I cut you off.
That's okay.
Several times.
You normally do.
Well, I I don't want to get any hate mail about how long these things are.
Well, people can just hit fast forward. Listen to us at 2x speed. It'll be funny.
Uh-huh. All right, David, you ready to get to listening?
I am. But first, I want to invite everybody to head on over to the NachoKidsAcademy.com and check it out.
What they gonna find?
They're going to find all kind of resources to better your blend. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's all I'm going to tell you. Just go check it out.
That's all you gonna tell them?
That's all I'm going to tell them. Just check it out.
You ain't gonna tell them about the Nacho Kids boot camp?
Nope.
You ain't gonna tell them about dealing with the high conflict X course?
Nope.
You ain't gonna tell them how to stop the bleed?
Nope.
All right, folks. David has quit talking.
I have not quit talking.
David has refused to speak.
I just want you to go check it out for yourself.
Check it out, folks. Check it out.
Don't believe me. Check it out for yourself.
Or check out the reviews on the website.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get it.
Today we have Stepmom Jodi. Hey, Jody, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So how long have you been blending?
I have been blending since 2001. So 21 years?
Holy moly.
Yes.
Girl, that's amazing. You know how amazing that is.
No.
You know 72% of blended families fail.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, girl, pat yourself on the back every day.
Okay, I'm doing it.
Yep, celebrate with a cookie or something.
Oh, gee. I don't need any cookies.
Yeah, me either. So how many stepkids, bio kids, and ours kids do you have?
Okay, I have one stepkid. She's 31.
Okay.
And I have 2 ours kids who are 15 and 11, a girl and a boy.
Okay. And I know stepdaughter, she's 31. Does she live in the home?
No, she actually just moved out about a year ago, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she live with you full time?
Kind of on and off. She's had like different boyfriends and stuff that would move in with for a while and then break up and then get a new boyfriend, that type of situation.
Mm-hmm. When you and your husband first met, what kind of custody schedule did he have?
So they always co-parented pretty well. The bio mom is actually pretty cool. There's no issues there.
Woohoo!
It was kind of like a they didn't really have like a court order or anything like that. They lived down the street from each other, and it was just kind of a come and go as you please type thing.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And they never had any issues. They could have gotten along better, but the stepdad, the mom's husband, is the one that was the drama.
Oh.
He was the drama. It wasn't her. It wasn't him. It was the stepdad.
So he was high conflict.
He's very high conflict. Still to this day, he's very high conflict.
Can you think of an example?
Well, we've always been very welcoming to her, to the mother. She's actually stayed in our house before, like for a couple days when she would come down here on vacation. And he would never let my husband like in his house. He didn't even want my husband to know where he lived because they moved away to a different state when the stepdaughter was like 12 or 13, and she ended up moving up there with them. Yeah, he did not want my husband to know where he lived, anything. And he's just, I don't know. He's weird.
I was going to say,
Very
that's weird.
Yeah.
And your husband had every right to know where his daughter was.
Yeah, exactly. Like we went up there on a vacation and he's like, I don't want husband coming to my house and I don't want him to know where we live. And it's just like, why? Like, why do you have to be like that?
You think he's in the witness protection program?
I don't know. He's just really like stern and stubborn. And I don't know. I don't really know the guy, but just, you know.
Do you have any idea what his and stepdaughter's relationship was like?
Yes, he does not believe in Nacho. I can tell you that much. He tried to run the show. It was always, if this was my kid, I would do this. And like the mom always listened to him. So that's where any contention that happened came from between my husband and the bio mother. Yeah.
Does he have kids of his own? Do you know?
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he don't know what it would do if it was his kid.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what my husband says.
Okay. So, of course, that's an interesting part.
Yes. So we have that. And then, you know, he travels a lot for work. And like the mother would spoil her when the stepdad wasn't there. But then as soon as the stepdad got there, it was like back to military again. So that causes issues too.
That would have to be so hard on the kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Because she has to adjust to bio mom spoiling her to all of a sudden, oh, stepdad's back. Mom's going to be strict.
Yep, exactly. And that's how it was.
And she knows it's coming from stepdad.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So I would think that when stepdad came back, she would just come to your house.
Well, she would have, but they lived like 1,500 miles away because our school system is not so great down here where I live. And the mom moved up there for better school, supposedly, which I don't know how that worked out, but yeah.
So when she moved, how often would your husband see her?
Every vacation, we would go up there to visit. Like he's a great father. He's always been very involved in stepchild's life, always. He's a really good dad.
Was he okay with bio mom moving her so far away?
No, he wasn't.
But they didn't have a court order.
They didn't. So she actually stayed with my husband for like about a year, I think, after they moved. And then the bio mom convinced her to try it in the other state. So I think she was like 13 at the time. So my husband was just like, you know, go try it. And if you don't like it, come back.
Hoping that she wouldn't like it.
And she didn't like it. And the mom wouldn't let her come back.
You know, it's great that your husband and the ex had such a good relationship and didn't have to deal with the court order crap.
Yes.
But this is also a reason that court orders are important.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Even though it may not have been enforced, but if he would have had an order that said, I have her 50-50, and if bio mom ever plans to move, she has to give me a 30-day notice. That way he could go to court and, you know, legally keep the daughter with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she would have stayed with him. Like they're very, very close, even to this day. I mean, that's probably why I'm even here on the podcast, because they're like super close.
Oh.
And he is a very good dad. He's always been around. And that was another thing that the stepdad would would say, like, after she moved up there with them, the stepdad would be like, oh, I'm your dad. I'm your real dad. Your dad doesn't do anything for you. And like stuff like that. I'm more of a father to you. And that's total crap. Excuse my language.
Girl, crap ain't a bad word.
Okay.
Not in my house, it's not.
Okay, good.
You would think that, well, I know everybody's different, but I know that if David was like that with Jackson, I would have left.
I know. She's one of those people, like, she's religious. I mean, we are too, but she's like, she takes honor thy husband to a totally different level than what I would.
And see, that a lot of times people talk about your marriage comes first.
Yes.
And in a nuclear family, that's easy to say.
Yeah, it is. But even so, I mean, we have ours kids, and I wouldn't, if I didn't like something, I would always stand up for my children against my husband.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and I mean, of course, you need to make sure you're not overreacting. Like your husband wants your kid to eat broccoli. You don't want him to. Of course, you're not going to go, well, I'm leaving you.
Right. True.
If she wasn't allowed to even be herself with her daughter, I'd have been like, something's got to give, buddy.
No, and even still, like, she'll come down here and she won't, like, it'll be a big secret that she came over here to visit us, because she's like cool, and she has watched our kids grow up. And she's, our kids like her, and she wants to come see them, but she can't tell her husband. So, I mean, that's a whole nother subject, but yeah.
That's almost like some kind of cult crap.
It's weird. It's very, very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. That's what he was dealing with that situation.
Yeah. Because I can see bio mom even telling him, well, I don't mind if she comes back, but, my husband says no.
Yeah. And I think that has actually happened in the recent past, because we've had some situations where she's had to move up there because of some issues that she got into. And yeah.
Well, and I'm sure that he probably treats stepdaughter even worse if he thinks she wants to be with y'all.
Probably.
I don't like him.
Trust me. I hardly know. I've met him like twice, and yeah, just no, I don't like him either.
You got those Boogeyman vibes off of him, didn't you?
Totally.
I know what you're saying.
Ugh. Yeah.
So you've also got some other stuff unique going on.
Yes.
You're how old?
38.
And your husband is?
60.
And your stepdaughter?
31.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you and your stepdaughter could have been siblings.
Yes, we could have been siblings.
And your husband could have been your dad.
Yeah. I mean, but you know what? We've been together for like 20 years, 21 years now, and actually 20 years. And,
Oh, wait a minute. Let's back up. So you were 17 or 18.
I was 18, yeah.
And he was 40?
Yeah. Yes.
What did your friends think? I mean, girl, I'm not bashing you at all, because
no.
Love comes in all different shapes and sizes and ages, and y'all seem to be a great couple. But, I mean, I've dated older men in the past, but I'm thinking 18 and 40?
Yeah. So, okay, just to back it up all the way, I actually had...
Where did y'all meet? Let's go all the way back.
Okay, so I had a very tumultuous and chaotic childhood. My father was never around, so it's probably daddy issues for me. I'm going to be honest. And then I am from Michigan, and I moved to Florida when I was 18. And I hung out with my uncle a lot because I didn't know anyone down here. And he was like the cool uncle who would, buy me alcohol and stuff like that when I was underage. And he was actually a friend of my uncle, and he was like really stable and everything. And that's something that I never had in my life. I never had stability, and my uncle was not stable, clearly.
Right.
And we just kind of started hanging out, and we liked each other, and it just happened, I guess. I don't know.
Well, no, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
You were attracted to him, obviously, and his stability was a perk, but you've made it work.
Yes. Yeah.
So you didn't have many friends to go, girl, what are you thinking dating this Paw Paw?
No, my friends that still lived back in Michigan were saying that, but now that we're still together, they're like, they're whatever, they're fine with it.
Yeah. Did you ever go places and people thought he was your dad?
Yes, that has happened. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We've actually had like a woman ask him out before when I was with him, and he was like, well, this is my girlfriend. And she was like, yeah, she didn't like that too much.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, yeah.
So what did he think about having kids with you?
He always wanted more kids, and I wanted kids, but we didn't have kids until we were together for like 5 years. My son was born in 06, and we got together in like 01, 02-ish, like the end of 2001.
Right.
So yeah, he wanted more kids. He loves kids. So yeah.
That's good. I'm glad that he didn't think, oh, I'm too old to have kids.
No, not at all.
That's awesome.
No. Yeah. So they keep him young,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure. We're pushing him to the grave, huh?
Oh, yeah. This dance thing is probably doing the latter.
Yeah. Just wait till that little girl hits teenage years. Whew.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Now, in the questionnaire that you filled out, you said your blend was pretty good, but the last 3 to 4 years have actually been the hardest.
They've been the hardest. Yes. Cause I've always I obviously did not know what Nacho was when I was, young.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always kind of had the mindset of like, I've never disciplined. I've never really done anything for the kid ever. And we were always on good terms, but, and I don't think that her dad would have ever let me either. So I wasn't one of those people that walked in and was like super stepmom, So.
Well, you were so young.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, people have kids at like 15. So
I know. Girl, I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, I know. It's all good.
But I can see his daughter going, wait a minute. She's like the age of my babysitter, and you want me to listen to what she's saying about clean up my room?
Yeah, I get it. And that's probably where some of the contention comes from now, you know?
Yeah. So what happened 3 to 4 years ago?
Okay. So I don't know. You might want to, do you want me to get really candid? Because it gets a little hairy.
Go ahead, because I think people need to hear hairy.
Okay. So she got out of a stable relationship with a nice guy, and immediately hooked up with this other guy that coincidentally is 10 years younger than her.
Okay.
And he was a heroin addict, or he is a heroin addict.
Oh.
And was homeless and had no place to live. And she thought that she could move him in here in my house.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And dad has a really hard time saying no to anything with her.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't really even ask. She just started having the guy stay over here. Yeah. And then she ended up getting hooked on it too.
Oh. Yeah.
So the guy's living here. He's clearly high all the time. I have, how old were my kids at the time? 7 and 11.
Yeah.
Living here. And growing up in that kind of environment, that was like the biggest form of betrayal to me for her to do that, because I never wanted my kids to see any of that stuff.
Right.
Or be around it. And it was clear that he was high, and he would go in the bathroom. I could hear the spoon. I mean, my kids didn't know what that was, but I could hear the spoon and the lighter, and he was shooting up in my bathroom.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
Please tell me you didn't find him dead in your house.
no, I didn't.
Okay.
No, but that went through my mind. Like my kids, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, that's like the consequence of doing heroin is dying,
Right.
overdosing.
Yeah.
I've lost many family members to heroin overdose.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is like a huge trigger for me,
Mm-hmm.
having him in the house. And finally, and I felt like my husband was not on my side because I kept saying, we can't have this person in our house. We have children here. Somebody, if something happens, like what's going to happen to our kids? We allow this.
Right.
And and he's like, no, it's not how it works. And I can't tell her no, I can't kick her out, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's where the contention started.
Did the boyfriend or your stepdaughter work?
No.
Were you not afraid they were going to steal everything in your house to support their habit?
Yes, I was. And that actually happened. I mean, there was prescription medication that was missing because my husband has had several surgeries and he never took the Percocet or whatever
Mm-hmm.
they gave him. So he had a bunch of Percocet in the house and that was all gone. I mean, the boyfriend even went as low as to steal my son's syringes because he has type 1 diabetes.
Oh my
A pack of
gosh.
syringes. Yes.
Don't they give those out free somewhere? Like the health department? Don't they give out free syringes?
Oh, I don't know. I think they do. Maybe not down here. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. But yes. So he did that. I mean, he pawned off things that my husband let him borrow a pressure cleaner
Mm-hmm.
to a really expensive one because, he's like, oh, I'll help the kid out. He's going to go make money. And he pawned that off. So yeah, that's what we were dealing with.
Is your husband the kind of person that always wants to see the best in people?
Absolutely.
Because I know my dad, my sister and her husband live with my dad.
Uh-huh.
And he has some issues with things she does. It's not drugs or anything. It's more like not cleaning up after herself.
Okay.
But he won't do anything about it. And
Yeah.
he says, I can't make her leave. Well, then stop complaining to me about it.
Yeah. See, my husband, he doesn't see anything because they were doing that too. Like I would get up in the morning, at a normal time to take my kids to school. And there would be cereal all over the counter, or you could tell they were up eating all night. And I would tell my husband, and he saw nothing wrong with it. He saw nothing wrong with anything that was happening.
He didn't want to see it.
He didn't want to see it. And that's what caused a lot of issues in our relationship too.
Well, like you said, you've got your kids that are seeing this stuff.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And I know we want to shelter our kids as much as we can.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
They're going to know stuff. My son came home. He was in a private school for a while and he went to public school. He's like, they smoke weed in the bathroom. I'm like, what?
They do.
But
they do.
They're going to be exposed to this stuff, but it doesn't have to be in your home.
Yeah. And I mean, smoking weed is one thing, but
yeah,
I mean, intravenous drug use in your home, that's way beyond anything that I don't know.
Yeah. And my sister had some issues with drugs.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but she had good reason. Her husband kidnapped one of her kids.
Oh, okay.
But, I have compassion for people that do get hooked on these things because they're really not in their right mind.
Yes, I agree.
And I know people will say, well, they chose to do it. Yeah, but you can get hooked after one time.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, like I said, I've grown up, my childhood was very, very chaotic. Mm-hmm. Drugs, alcohol, and then all the stuff that goes along with all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have compassion for them, but for addicts, but it's one thing to have it in your home with your children and you're not doing it. It's like, I had no control.
Right. And, a lot of times we'll see in the Facebook group, people will say, my
Yeah.
house, my rules.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, that bothers me a lot because it's like they dismiss that their husband lives there.
Yes,
It's his house too.
it is. Yeah.
But there is a huge, huge, huge difference from a stepkid leaving dirty clothes somewhere, dirty dishes, whatever, versus doing heroin in your house.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge difference. I mean, because like you said, like you were like, oh, did you find him dead? I mean, that happens. It happens all the time,
Mm-hmm.
every day. And if that did happen, I mean, that could fall back onto my husband and I, and we could lose our children. Like people don't realize how serious it is, you know?
Right. And your husband said, oh, that's not how that happens. It is.
It is how it happens. Definitely. I mean, I've seen it, you know, my cousin died of a heroin overdose, my stepsister, my half brother. Like, I mean, all these people, like I've grown up around it.
Right. Unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, but you know, it's made me a stronger person. And, you know, that's why sometimes I don't have sympathy for people when they use the, oh, I had a bad childhood excuse. Like, you know, but everyone deals with trauma differently. And anyways.
Well, we've all had messed up childhoods in some way or
Yes.
another.
Yes.
And you can either focus on that or you can move on and not let that define you.
Exactly. I mean, some people have a harder time
Yeah. Yeah.
moving on, but
I agree. Sometimes it's hard to fight those demons in your mind.
uh-huh.
Same thing with the addicts.
Yeah. Yep.
But, you know, too, they're mixing so much crap in that heroin now.
I know. It's terrible.
And what's scary is a friend of mine, she does a lot of help with drug addicts.
Okay.
And so she gets called to the hospital when somebody's overdosed to try to help them.
Okay.
And she'll say, what is so sad is if little Susie ends up ODing on the heroin she got because it had the fentanyl in it,
Mm-hmm.
then all the friends are saying, where'd she get it? Because they want it.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
because that's the good stuff.
Ugh.
And nobody ever thinks they'll OD.
No, they don't. They don't think that they'll OD.
Mhm.
It's quite frankly, they get so sick and, they just like Jones so much for the next
Yep.
batch or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yep.
Like it's the furthest thing from their mind.
And it's not like they are intentionally hurting those around them.
True.
And-
They're not.
And that's what's so hard to deal with because you're thinking you're disrespecting my kids,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't think that way. Like you
They
said,
don't.
their thought process is my next high.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they weren't working, where were they getting money? How long did she live with you?
So the two of them lived with us for probably about 3 months before I finally had to say it's either him or me. Like I wasn't telling him to get his daughter out of here. It was the boyfriend
Right.
that I wanted gone. It was about 3 months. And then she ended up staying for a couple months after he went to jail or something. And then they ended up getting their own apartment together, which was a complete crap show.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then there was the issue when she moved back here, she brought 2 Belgian Malinois puppies with her.
Girl, we have Belgian Malinois and those dogs. I got 2 puppies right now. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've got one that's, golly, she's 8 years old. And I decided I
Okay.
wanted to get 2 puppies. And,
Mm-hmm.
I did know what I was getting into, but good Lord have mercy. Those dogs, they are definitely work dogs. And you
Yes.
have to give them a job. If not, they will tear up everything.
Yeah, we lost a couch. I mean, I still have furniture that has chew marks.
Uh-huh. And they're very smart dogs, but they have to be trained.
Yes, and they can't be left to their own devices while your owner is sleeping until 3 o'clock.
No.
High on pills
Yeah.
or heroin or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
So it's always been that my husband has always picked up the slack for his daughter. That's how it's always been. So I think she thought that maybe I would help with them when I was very vocal that I have too much on my plate right now. My child just got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I have it was just all a lot at one time that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very vocal that I was not going to help at all with those dogs. So, yeah. So she had those, the two dogs and the boyfriend. This was all at the same time.
Oh my gosh. And I'm thinking the two dogs are enough to drive you batty.
Yes.
Were they puppies?
Puppies, yeah. The boyfriend, the first boyfriend that she moved out of his house, bred his two. He had a male and a female,
Uh-huh.
and he bred them. And he gave her two puppies from that litter, full on knowing that she couldn't take care of them.
Right.
Thinking that we would do it.
Yeah. And, we see a lot of the movies that these dogs are in or on Top Dog, and they are amazing dogs, but they are also dogs that end up needing to be rehomed, and they can't go into shelters because they are considered aggressive dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I mean, they're good dogs, but.
Yeah. So you got the boyfriend and the two puppies.
Uh-huh.
And you talk to your husband and you say,
Yes.
Look here, buddy, something's got to change.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess he talked to stepdaughter and she made boyfriend move out.
No. So I don't like to give ultimatums. I think that they're like a form of manipulation.
I agree.
But I ended up getting so at the end of my rope that I said, it's either me and our two kids or that boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving. I'm not staying another day with him in my house. And so he told her that she couldn't have the boyfriend over anymore. He wasn't even allowed around the house. And she started sneaking him in through the window at night because he was homeless and had nowhere to go.
How did they okay, then he goes to jail.
Yes.
And she stays there a little while.
Yeah. Yep.
With the puppies.
Uh-huh.
And then they get their own apartment.
Yes.
How did they afford an apartment?
She ended up getting a job.
Okay.
And when he got out of jail, he did okay for a while and saved up money, like a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They had enough money to get the apartment. And then that didn't last long. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 3 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ended up going to jail.
For drugs?
Yes, she got caught. She went on a job with a friend of mine. My friend was nice and offered her a job. And they were going to Orlando, which is like 3 hours from me.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up getting pulled over and she had pills on her. So she went to jail. And of course, my husband ran right up there to go get her.
Oh.
And then I think shortly after that, they lost the apartment.
Then where did they go?
She ended up that was right before COVID happened. So she came back here and I don't know what he did. I think he was like homeless somewhere. I don't know.
Did they break up?
Yes. But here's why they broke up. Because he was using her. This guy is a total con artist, an opportunist. He's a scumbag, total scumbag. My husband has our debit card on all of our kids' phones.
Right.
So his daughter and our two kids. So they were going to the ATM multiple times a day and withdrawing money, like $200 a day sometimes. And it didn't say like whose phone was doing it. So my husband was blaming our son, who was 11 at the time. Yeah, he was saying that he was going to, and I'm like, are you freaking serious?
That's how much in denial he was.
He was so in denial. And he had friends that were telling him she's doing drugs. And he would not have any of it, none of it. So after the arrest happened and he actually found out and realized that what she was doing, he took the ATM card or the debit card off of his daughter's phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the boyfriend was gone like shortly after that.
Ah,
Yeah. With another girl and stuff like that. So
somebody else to support his habit.
exactly. So he's a total con artist. Just, he's awful.
Yeah. So did stepdaughter continue to stay with y'all for a while?
Yes. And then she ended up going to rehab, and she's been clean ever since. So it's been about 2 years.
That is
that she's been
great.
clean. Yeah.
And that is not easy.
It's not easy, but the boyfriend keeps sneaking back into her life. And
The heroin boyfriend?
yes. Yep. He's been in and out of jail. And, she was on probation for a while. She just got off. And he was like trying to manipulate her, saying, oh, if you don't let me stay at your house, I'm going to say that you hit me. So you go to jail, and like stuff like that.
He's crazy.
He's crazy. He's insane.
Please tell
He's
me that
insane.
she's not giving in to this.
She was for a while, but my husband finally laid the law down and said no, because he actually, he has several rental properties, and he gave her a house
Okay.
to live in because it just wasn't working with her and I here. So he moved her into one of his properties, and, boyfriend thought he could swoop right in and, have a free place to stay.
Right.
But yeah, my husband was like, absolutely not. He put cameras up around the house, and, which is a bit of an invasion of privacy, but,
He's saving her life.
yeah, she's living there for free. So, I mean, you don't want the guy around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And honestly, I don't know how she stayed clean with that guy coming back around.
I know. She's strong-willed and stuff. So
Kudos to her, man.
yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think she ever would have gotten into that if it wasn't for that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to, I know everyone makes their own choices and stuff, but
Somebody has to introduce them to it.
exactly. And he, like I said, he's like a con artist. I mean, the worst.
Mm-hmm.
He's the worst.
Yeah. So what is your relationship like with her now?
It's okay. Like I kind of keep her at arm's length. We talk sometimes. She tells me stuff that she won't tell her dad, but I'm just not ready to, I don't know. I'm just not ready to have, I don't know how to say it. I'm not ready to like be like friends with her again yet at this point, because there's just been so much that has happened. And, like I'm cordial to her. And like I said, she'll, she gets aggravated with her dad, and she'll tell me stuff, and she'll actually come to me with stuff about the boyfriend that she won't tell her dad.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we have a good relationship, but I'm just not ready to, be friends yet.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. You've still got your guard up. A lot's happened.
Yes. Yeah. Because, she is very manipulative to her dad, and she likes to interject her ideas about parenting to me. She doesn't like the way that I parent my daughter or whatever. So, that kind of stuff aggravates me.
Right. What's her relationship like with your kids?
It's okay. I think they know how she is. Like, I don't ever say anything about her in front of my kids, but they can, they know that she's sneaking and kind of out for herself.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, I get how she is. She had her dad, but there's like some jealousy on her end. Because she did have her dad for 16 years to herself. And all of a sudden these 2 new kids are born, and, he's pouring a lot of attention into them. And I think that that's normal and par for the course.
Yes. I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that there's jealousy, especially towards my daughter.
Daddy's little girl.
Yeah, definitely. But my husband and his older daughter have a relationship that's completely unbreakable. Like, I hate to say this, but I think that he would do more for her than he would for our kids. It is what it is.
And I was going to ask you that. Have you noticed a difference with how he parents your kids versus how he parented her? No, granted, I know there's a huge age difference. But does he seem to be a little more strict with them and doesn't mind laying down the law as much? With her, he was kind of reserved about doing that.
Yes. And he's definitely a Disney dad all around. I'm definitely the authoritarian parent, but he's more strict on our kids about doing chores and, being respectful and stuff like that. Like there's some things that I don't care. Like I have a 15-year-old and he will use like profane language sometimes, which I really don't care. But my husband's really strict about that, which I don't think he would have been with his daughter. I don't know. Just there's some things that you can tell a difference, but he's a Disney dad though.
all the way around.
All the way around.
Well, at least he's keeping that consistent.
Yeah, I think he would do more like financially for his daughter than he would for our kids. But I also think deep down that he knows that he kind of dropped the ball with his older daughter. So he's trying to make ours more responsible. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Makes perfect sense.
He would never admit that, but I think that that's the case.
Yeah. Does it bother you that he seems to be that way, or are you glad that he's a little stricter with your kids?
I'm glad that he's a little stricter with my kids because, like I said, I don't want to call myself like an authoritarian, but I am pretty strict. I have morals and values that I think should be upheld, and I don't really give in to my kids that much. And I'm really strict about grades. He's not so strict about grades. Just, I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of times we'll see stepmoms that are complaining that, oh, he's stricter on my kid than he was his. Well, do you want him to be lax like he was with his kid because you complained about that?
Exactly. And that's a good thing that he's stricter because like I said, I think that means deep down they know that they've, I don't want to say dropped the ball, but or messed up because it's not really, they know that they didn't do it right the first time. And I don't even really want to say that, but you know what I'm getting at. Like they know that something went bad the first time and they're trying to make their other kids more responsible, basically.
Right.
So. Which
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because she's not like his daughter is not financially responsible at all. And he spoiled her, but her mom did too. So that could be from both sides.
Right. Yeah. But then she had the evil stepdad. So with mom, it wasn't consistent.
It was not consistent. But with that, it was always constant. Like he spoiled her and he, like I said, he gave her a house.
I know. Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know if I would be okay with that, but you didn't need her in your house.
Yeah. It was either that or she would be here. And it was just too much chaos. With her. I mean, if she needed to come back, she's always welcome back. I would never tell my husband, oh, your daughter can't come here, but it's better the way that it is right now.
And that's the thing is, and I agree, I would never tell my husband that his kids could not come here for any reason.
You can't do that.
Right. But I would tell my husband, no, they're not going to be shooting up heroin in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and I did say that. And I even told him, I'm like, I'm going to have to get the police involved. I mean, do you want your daughter to go to jail? Because I'm not going to have CPS or whatever in my house taking my kids because your daughter wants to have her boyfriend live here. Like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
So, yeah, I had to lay down the law about that one.
Yeah. And I don't blame you. And honestly, a lot of people we've seen split up because of that, because the dad's like, no. Now, granted, it's usually over weed.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd be a little more relaxed if it was just weed, but
it's not.
It's not. And it was just an awful situation. Awful.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
Yep. And then my son I think he was like 11 at the time. I had a math tutor that would come over here 2 days a week to help my son. And they came home and the guy goes in the bathroom and I knew what he was doing. And he comes out completely annihilated, messed up, falling all over the place, falling into my sliding glass door.
Oh, gosh.
While I have a math tutor here. I mean, that person could have easily called CPS. I mean, she's a teacher too. She's like a mandated reporter.
Right. I'm surprised she
Could have
didn't.
easily called CPS and been like, this is what's going on over at this house.
Yeah.
And then my neighbors were starting to say stuff. It was just not a good situation.
Yeah. Well, do you think that stepdaughter was stealing from y'all too, or just the boyfriend?
Yes, she was, because she actually took money from my purse before. And my husband didn't really say anything about it.
And I'm sure that did not make you feel good.
It did not, because she will use like the triangulation behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
She took money from my purse, and I found out like that, like within an hour, because I happened to need cash for an event that I was going to at my daughter's school. And I knew I had $40 in my pocket. So I happened to find out right away. And then my husband was sitting on the couch. I was like, where's my money? And she admitted to taking it. And then as soon as I left, she told my husband, oh, well, that's my stepmom. I should be able to go in her purse and take money if I need it. I needed gas.
Girl, I couldn't even go in my mama's pocketbook.
Exactly. To turn. And then he agrees with her. And it's just like she always tries to turn him against me.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he agrees with her. Like, it's crazy.
Do you forgive her for that? Or, golly, do you even forgive him for agreeing that that's okay?
Well, I mean, I do, because that's right in the middle of when she was doing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she wasn't getting gas. I know that she was getting something else. And, I mean, and I forgive him because that's just how he is. Like I mean, for lack of a better word, he thinks that the sun sets and shines out of his daughter's butthole,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. Excuse my language again. And that's just how he is. And he believes everything that she says. And, that's not going to change. So I just have to deal with it or whatever.
Right. And you're not willing to throw away your relationship because of that.
No, because I love him. We've been together forever. We have kids, and that's just so minimal that whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It's just how he is.
Yeah. And it doesn't make him a bad person.
No, it doesn't, because he thinks that he's doing the right thing he genuinely thinks that he's doing the right thing for his kid.
Right.
I mean, and he's a major enabler.
Yeah.
If you want me to elaborate, I can.
Go ahead, elaborate.
Well, so she, in the middle of her addiction, she pawned off a lot of things, like including jewelry that was given to her by my mother-in-law, Louis Vuitton purses, like just all kinds of stuff. And he went and got it out of pawn for her.
Wow.
And then he also, before she could get into rehab, because, you can't just like go in, you have to wait.
Yes.
He gave her money for drugs because she didn't want her to get sick. Like, that's the kind of stuff.
I know way too many people that have done that.
Yeah. And they think they're doing the right thing.
They do. But what if, thank God it didn't happen, but what if he would have gave her that money because he didn't want her to get sick, but she got a bad batch and it killed her?
Yep, I know. That's what I tell him. See, I tend to look more at the negative things that can happen. And he does, like, he's very positive.
Yeah.
He doesn't look at something has to happen to him for him to process that it could happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Where I'm the kind of person that if I'm on the interstate and I see a plane, I think it could crash into my car.
Oh my God. I think the same thing.
Okay. So that makes me feel better that I'm not the only one that thinks this way.
I have actually thought that before.
Yeah. I was going to New Jersey one time, and the Newark airport is right there at the interstate. So, I'm getting on the interstate and I look back and there's a plane coming, not a car.
Oh my God.
And it freaked me out.
Oh my gosh.
It was hilarious because I just busted out laughing. Apparently, when I'm really scared, I just laugh. But
I do the same thing.
I mean, really, you're looking for a car and you see a plane, and it just yeah. That was kind of traumatic, but
that's funny though. No, because I think the same way. I'm very like cautious, and I tend to think things through before I make decisions. Like he doesn't, and he just always thinks there's going to be a great outcome and everything's sunshine and rainbows. And I'm more like everything's going to be awful.
Oh,
not really, but
yeah. Well, you're cautious.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think that I'm a really negative thinking person. Actually, I think I'm pretty positive thinking, but I do have those thoughts of planes falling out of the sky or, I'm not walking under that scaffolding because it could fall and kill me or.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Maybe I watch too many Final Destination movies.
Oh my God. Yeah. I watch way too much true crime. I love it, but it gets in my head.
It does. It does. We've got to be careful what we feed our brains.
Exactly. That darn ID channel is just addicting.
Yes. And then you're thinking, you stupid person, you should have known not to leave your belt buckle there.
I know, or a piece of hair or a fingerprint or whatever.
Yeah. I'm like, golly, this isn't your first time?
Right.
Yeah. We joke that I've watched so many crime shows that I could bury David and nobody would know.
Oh my gosh.
That's not true because he's
so
big.
Funny.
I'd have to get somebody to help me and then they would tell,
Yeah, you can't do that nowadays.
No.
There's too much science out there.
Yeah, it would be recorded on your phone somehow.
Exactly.
Well, Jody, what would you say is the best piece of advice that you could give someone that is not even necessarily just getting in a blend, but somebody that's struggling in the blend, whether they've been together 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever?
Well, okay, so I see sometimes in the Facebook groups, like we were talking about earlier, you can't think of everything as like mine or my house or my this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to not really be on the same page with your husband, but kind of be open-minded about their thought process and how they raise their kids and everything. And just realize that different isn't always bad, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Just because they raise their kids differently than what you think is appropriate doesn't mean that they're going to turn out to be a serial killer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be open-minded, basically. You can't be so staunch in the way that you do things and the way that you think.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be open-minded.
I completely agree. And I honestly feel like that if I wouldn't have been open-minded to Nachoing, David and I would have never made it because it was our last-ditch effort to save our marriage.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It was bad. We were getting ready to one phone call away from an attorney to get divorced.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we went to a counselor that I knew that he kept telling me they were not my kids. And then I realized when we were leaving and making fun of the counselor, I was like, they are not your kids. But then it hit me. I was creating my own misery.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and they're not your kids. Like they have, in most cases, there's two parents there.
Even if they're not physically there, there's two parents.
Yeah, you're coming in like brand new. You can't erase everything that's happened in the past.
Mm-hmm. You didn't break it. You can't fix it.
Exactly. And you just have to, like I say, be open-minded and try to like understand your partner's thought process and why they do things the way that they do, or why they are okay with things that you're necessarily not okay with. So that's just my advice. You have to be open-minded. And you can't, like I said, you can't walk into a situation with two children that have parents that have been raising them for, the last 6 or 10 years or whatever, and try to change everything. It just doesn't work like that.
Right. And even if you don't agree with their parenting, like you said, it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right.
And I know it's hard to keep your mouth shut and not say anything.
It is.
But you did not marry them because of the parent they were.
Yeah, you married them because of the person that they were. So.
Right. And that person didn't change. Your perception changes once you get married and you're like, he didn't fuss at little Johnny for wearing his shoes in the house.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you can't be so anal about things, because I think a lot of times people are more anal about things concerning their stepchildren than they are about their own children.
Amen, sister. Say that again.
People are more anal about things concerning their stepchildren than their own children. And that's the truth.
It is. And I wonder if it's because we notice those things with our stepkids quicker than we notice things with our own kids.
It probably is.
Because we can tune little Johnny out because we're used to him behaving that way.
Exactly. And it's like, it's another piece of advice that I have is it's okay to not love your stepchildren right off the bat.
Amen.
Like, I think a lot of people, women especially, think that you have to go into a blend and be like this, like super mom and try to make the family nuclear. It's never going to be nuclear. And it's okay to have feelings of, I don't love my stepkid. I don't like this kid, whatever. And
right.
That's okay. And I think it's normal. And I just think society makes it not normal, if that makes sense,
Yeah, society puts way too many pressures on blended families to be nuclear families.
Yep.
But also for a stepmom to love the kids like her own and to do everything mom would do when it suits everybody else.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I don't think that people should try to parent kids that are not their own unless the parent is okay with it. And both parents should really be okay with it, honestly.
Right. And a lot of times one bio parent will say, yes, I'm okay with it. But then when it happens, they're not.
Yeah. Well, like in my situation, one bio parent was okay with a step parent parenting, it being very strict. And my husband was not okay with that. And
right. But he couldn't change it.
He couldn't change it. So he lived with it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know a lot of times stepmoms feel like, oh, I don't love them like my own. I'm a horrible person. Or I treat little Johnny different because he's not mine. It's normal. It
is normal. And I think people try, like we were talking about society, I think people try to feel a certain way to please society. And I'm sorry, but it's not instinctual. Not to say that you can't love a child like your own. That's not your biological child, because people do it, in matters of adoption or whatever.
Right.
And some people do love their stepchildren like their own, and that's fine, but it's not instinctual.
Right.
You didn't have the child. You didn't take care of the child when they were an infant and all that stuff. I don't know. I didn't realize that till I had my own children, that there's a different bond there. There just is.
Right. And you can't compare it.
You can't compare it. You cannot compare it.
We see that all the time. People say, oh, I love them like my own. And you ask them how old their kids are, and they say, oh, I don't have any. Or then we see people a lot of times that'll say, I didn't realize that the love I would have for my child would be completely different.
It is. I mean, it just, it's Mother Nature. I mean, it's nature. It is.
Yeah. And I even think, and tell me if you disagree, that somebody that says, I love my stepkids like my own, and they have their own kids. I feel like if it came down to it and a train was coming and they could rescue their bio kid or their step kid from that train.
Yeah.
Which one do you think it would be?
Their bio kid, definitely.
Instinctually.
Yes. And I don't want to get too much on the gender issue because that's like a hot topic right now. But I think that sometimes it's easier for a stepdad, like a male coming in, to bond with stepkids.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
It's proven.
Yes. Because I had a stepdad and he's like my dad. I still talk to him to this day. Like, my mom's long passed away and I still talk to my stepdad. He is my dad.
So how old were you when your parents split up?
My dad left my mom when she was pregnant with me. I didn't even meet my dad until I was 10. So,
wow.
Yeah, I had a stepdad who was like my dad. They got together when I was like, I want to say like around 2. So, and we were very bonded.
Did you know he
So-
wasn't your quote, quote, real dad?
Yes, I did.
So they never tried to hide that from you?
No, nope.
And how did you finally become to meet your dad?
Well, my stepmom, my dad's wife,
Okay.
suddenly came into the picture and like wanted to make a big happy family.
Uh-huh.
And I always knew my grandma, his mom, but I didn't quite understand like why she was my grandma.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was just really crazy. But yeah, so my stepmom tried to make like this big happy family happen. And there just was no bond there between him and I, nothing.
Nothing.
So nothing. But my stepdad, like we were bonded. Like he is my dad. And I think he would say the same thing about me. So that I'm his daughter.
Okay, you met your dad when you were 10.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see him more than once?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, he lived like a mile away from me.
Okay.
And I was close with his mom.
Right.
So
When you would go to his mom's, did you see him over there or anything?
yeah, I would see him. Like he lived in her basement.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I would see him over there. I never called him dad. I always called him by his first name. There was just no bond there whatsoever.
You just had no use for him.
Nothing. No. And he, was not a great person. It was probably a blessing that he left my mom
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that house over there was a complete flop drug den. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it was, probably a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. So your stepdad was, like you said, always your dad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how often do you talk to him?
I talk to him about probably twice a year because he lives in northern Michigan and he doesn't have a phone. Like he's like an outdoors guy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
off the grid type guy. He doesn't really have a phone and stuff like that. But I talk to him probably 2 to 3 times a year, Christmas, birthdays, that type of thing.
Oh, that's pretty cool that he lives off the grid and stuff.
Yeah. He doesn't even have a computer or anything like that. No Facebook. No, I don't think he even has a cell phone.
Does he have a landline?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, good. I was going to say, he
But-
needs some type of phone for emergencies.
I know. Yeah, he has a landline, but he works and he's just real simple but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to go up there to go visit him because we did lose contact for a while.
It's
But-
easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm trying to go up there to go visit him maybe this summer. We'll see.
Well, I hope you get a chance to.
Yeah, I hope so too.
You might be bored without Facebook and all that stuff, though.
Oh, geez.
You'll say,
Facebook.
can we ride to town so I can go check my Facebook?
Facebook is like a love-hate relationship there.
Yes, same here. Same here. There's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad.
Well, I have to say, though, your Facebook group did save me because I was having some pretty bad feelings of
Mhm.
your Facebook group did did save me.
I am so glad you told me that because I hear so many complaints about that group from people outside the group, people in the group. It's off the chain. People are hateful.
No, it's not hateful. Like people have to realize that we don't know what these people have gone through
Right.
to even make the post that they're making. Like whatever, I hate my stepdaughter or whatever it is.
Right.
Like we don't know what has transpired.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to even go on and make a post like that means that they care in some way.
Right. And I get it because I was there.
Yes.
And that's why I'm not going to not approve a post that says I hate my stepkid because that person, like you said, they're posting that and it's not easy
No, it's not easy.
and they need help.
It's not. They need help and everyone deserves help. I mean, there's a lot of hateful step parenting groups on Facebook because I was in one and that's how I found you. And I posted something about like, what do I do about my stepdaughter? She walks around in a thong bikini in my backyard or something like that.
Mhm.
And I'm very conservative. That just wasn't something that I was okay with. And everyone bashed me and oh, what do you think that they were saying really awful things. I'm not going to say, but
I
you
can
know.
guess already.
yeah, like very, very awful stuff. And it was just uncalled for. And someone in that chat said, you have to go join the Nacho Kids group. And I did.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a perfect group. We're not perfect people.
Nobody's perfect.
And I know there's a lot of non-Nacho advice in there. We try to correct that when we see it. We also know that there's people that don't want help. They just want to vent.
Right.
And we know that there are some people that are so hurt that you could tell them good morning and they're going to cuss you out.
Yeah, that's true.
And we are quick to ban people from the group. If somebody comes cussing at you and we see it, then by God, you're gone. You don't treat people like that. But it's okay to disagree, but you're not going to sit there and call somebody names.
Right. And I don't really see, honestly, out of all the Facebook groups that I'm in, yours is like probably the least drama, one of the least drama,
Oh, I'm so glad.
Well, because like I said, I'm in a lot of parenting groups and those are like a whole drama thing right there. Cause everyone has their own ideas on how to be a perfect parent.
Yeah.
And the dance mom groups are just insane.
I can imagine.
So, because my daughter's a dancer, so I'm in those groups, and people just need to realize that every situation is different, and people have probably been through a lot to get to the point to actually post something in the Nacho group.
Right, and you have to be careful because words hurt.
Yes.
And they can carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
A lot of these stepmoms are on the verge of losing it.
They are.
And the last thing they need is some smart aleck stepmom coming in there going, oh, you should love them like your own. You're one big happy family.
Yep.
Lady, you might have just pushed her over the edge.
Exactly. Because, I would love to see statistics of mental health and step-parents, honestly, especially stepmothers.
I did a poll in my Facebook group. Golly, it's been over a year now, and I wrote a blog about it. And you would not believe the number of stepmoms that have had suicidal thoughts, who are depressed, who are on medicine for depression or anxiety. It's sad. It's really sad. And I'll have to post a link to that article in here because I don't remember the statistics right off the top of my head.
Okay.
But they were high.
I'm sure. It's a tough situation all around.
Yeah.
There's just some people that have just such high expectations, and to get let down, or it feels like a letdown, I guess, when things don't go your way. And it's just, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah. And I'm sure they don't do these statistics on blended families because think about it. When you go to the doctor, it says married, divorced, whatever. It doesn't say remarried.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
It doesn't, right?
But think about it. Someone kills themselves, right? I'm sure on their death certificate, it doesn't say they were a step parent.
It doesn't. Nope.
So there's not a way to know how many step parents actually commit suicide.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's staggering.
And the same with, medication. I'm getting put on anxiety medicine because life's tough or whatever. They, in the doctor's notes, do they log it somewhere that, they're a step parent? No,
they don't. Nope.
So I don't know any way to get real numbers other than doing polls occasionally, but it makes me sad.
Yeah.
And again, I get it because I was there, but it makes me want to take all these people, go somewhere with them for a week and tell them they're not a piece of crap and that they're normal and it's okay and teach them how to nacho.
Yeah. Yep. And nacho can be applied to every aspect of your life. It can be applied at a job because you're going to have coworkers there that you're not going to like or want to deal with. It can be applied pretty much everywhere. So,
yeah,
it's a good thing. And I think, and I'm a stay-at-home mom now, but I was in the mental health field. I think that more therapists and stuff should use nacho principles, honestly.
Yeah. Because it's scary when you see somebody say, my therapist said I should just love them more.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
Yeah. You're blaming this woman for not loving the stepkids enough when their stepkids try to put Visine in their coffee to kill them.
Yeah. and it happens.
It does.
I mean, and then you have a lot of times you have a high conflict bio parent in the stepkid's ear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see that in the group all the time.
Yep.
Or I've seen it in real life too. You have a high conflict bio parent in the kid's ear, hates the stepmom or stepdad for no reason, just other than you're with their ex-partner.
Yep.
And, you know, you have that to deal with too, because, you know, there's like a loyalty bond there and the kids are going to do whatever their parent says.
Mm-hmm. And then you've got parental alienation.
Yes, that's another thing. I don't have a lot of experience with that, but, you know.
I actually read in a Facebook group yesterday, it made me very sad that the lady said, well, I'm no longer a stepmom. Day one, my husband committed suicide.
Oh, no. See.
Yeah, apparently the bio mom was doing the bashing dad, parental alienation stuff. The stepkids were following in suit because they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
You know, they're pumped all this crap from mom. It's like I said before, you've got to be careful what you feed your mind.
Yeah.
And these kids don't have a choice. And it broke my heart for her. And again,
yeah, that's terrible.
It's not documented. Okay, this guy committed suicide because he had mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they should know it was because of parental alienation. Maybe they should keep up with this stuff to help the court systems be more strict when a parent is alienating the kid from the other parent.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they definitely need to keep up on the alienation thing. Like I said, I don't have firsthand experience with it, but I have some friends that have had very manipulative exes that have alienated children, and it's just terrible. It's terrible because they're letting their ego and their narcissism or whatever get in the way of the child, because the child's the one that's going to suffer in the long run.
You're right. And the child could actually turn on that parent in the future.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them do once they find out what has actually happened and all the lies and manipulation they've been fed.
Right. And they get to know their bio parent that's been bashed for so long and like, wait a minute, I don't see this evil person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when you're alienating a child, like I said, your ego and narcissism gets in the way. And I feel like these people that do that it's almost like child abuse. It is child abuse.
It is. You're right.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yep. You're right.
I'm sure that you're, parenting with the ego and narcissism as well.
Yes.
If that makes sense,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it is, I could definitely consider it a form of child abuse.
It is definitely. It's like mental abuse, highest form.
Yep. Now again, let me clarify, because some people will say, oh, you're saying that I should send my kid to his dad's house when he's shooting up heroin. No.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah, just because you don't like dad is no reason not to send your kid there.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times it's because they're hurt by the breakup and the parent getting with a new partner, and they can't get over the fact that they lost the partner. That's where most of that comes from, I think.
Right. I agree. Or there's jealousy.
Jealousy, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's hard.
It is.
Well, Jody, thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast. And I know
You're welcome.
that this is going to help so many people.
Well, I hope so.
Well, keep in touch and let us know how things go.
Yeah, well, I float around in the Facebook group a lot. So I sit in the dance parking lot and read the post and, try to comment sometimes.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I try to comment sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
One of the things that Jody said was hard for her was trying to get her husband to put his foot down about what was allowed in the home. It's got to be hard enough as a parent to have a child that gets addicted to drugs.
Mm.
You don't know what to do. You don't know how to help them. You're afraid if you give them money, they'll use it to shoot up. You're afraid that if you don't put a roof over their head, they'll get killed out in the wilderness or whatever. And then you've got your significant other, which is this child's step parent. And they're saying, oh no, you need to practice tough love. They ain't going to get better till they hit rock bottom. Kick them out. Let them live on the street. Blah, 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 blah. Don't say that to your significant other. They need to figure out what they feel they should do. God forbid they listen to the step parent, they kick their kid out, and then their kid ODs that night. Or their kid gets hit by a train crossing train tracks at 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make your significant other ever choose between his kids and you.
Yeah, because you might not like the choice that's made.
Yep. All right, that's all I got to say, David.
All right.
Now that we're through with this sad interview, do I have a joke or something that we can end it up with?
Apparently, I am the joke. So
you are the joke.
All right.
Well, think of something funny, David. Oh, wait. Guess what, y'all? While you're listening to this, we're in Texas. Yeehaw!
Oh, wow, we are. That's right.
Yep. We're hanging out with the Laura Pethbridge, the Melanie Anthony, the Heidi Farrell, the Charlene Roberts.
All them folks.
Lori McGregor, Summer Butler.
Again, didn't mention any of their significant others.
And their significant others.
Oh, there it is. Just lump us all together.
Which are Stephen Pethbridge, Steve Roberts, David Sims, Andy Butler, Tim Farrell, Kirk McGregor, and Steve Anthony.
Good job.
Woo! 3 Steves.
I was going to say a lot of Steves in there.
Yep.
Especially since that was your ex. That's funny.
Nobody needs to know that. You could have left that part out. David, what is wrong with you today? You just keep talking and keep talking. And then all of a sudden you're like, I ain't telling you nothing about the academy. All right. I'm done with you, David.
Fine. All right, folks, join us next week when we'll figure out if Lori can not be so depressing. Remember, life is good
when you nacho.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nacho Kids Podcast. Find us online at nachokids.com. Until next time, remember, life is good when you nacho.